This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL, everyone. We've made it to the end of the week.
Yes.
It's Friday, everyone, September 3rd, and I'm Tori here with two of my good friends, Al and Erica. Let's get started. We have a big day, okay? Let's be very clear. Our show airs throughout the entire state of Texas. So hello, Texas. And so many of you are there talking about the Texas law, which now bans women from having an abortion after 6 weeks. Some say it's too strict because many times a woman doesn't even know she's pregnant until after 6 weeks. And backlash has been coming from all over the country. People on social media took aim at a pro-life whistleblower site that encourages people to report anyone who violates the law and flooded the site with a bunch of fake tips. And the dating app Bumble, you all know Bumble, created a relief fund supporting anyone who wants to have an abortion in Texas. But not everyone is against the law. One woman tweeted, quote, "I do believe life begins at conception. This is closer than we've ever come to protecting life." And another wrote, "The Texas abortion ban is about protecting the civil rights of the child in the womb. Neither woman nor man have the right to kill a child, regardless of what the law says." Big topic. It's not comfortable. Let's call that out. It's super uncomfortable. Erica?
It's been the argument of our lifetime, so yeah, we got a lot to discuss.
Yeah, Erica, how did you feel when you saw this?
Well, of course, as a woman, I don't want anyone infringing on my reproductive rights or my uterus. My biggest issue with this is, of course, the infringement of the reproductive rights. But also, we talk about life and how people care so much about life and the children. But when these children are here, people cease to care. We have over 400,000 children in the foster system in this country right now. Advocating on behalf of them are about 260,000 children are actually taken care of in that way. And when I say advocating, I'm talking specifically to my experience as being a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate. That means that only 65% of children in the system actually have a personal advocate outside of caseworkers who are completely overloaded.
Right.
So when we're having this conversation about protecting life, caring about life, I just want people to put that same energy into the children who are actually here right now and need that advocacy. So I think when we have these conversations, we should also talk not only about when does a fetus become a life, but when does that life matter when it's actually born? Because we're talking about people who are underserved, under-resourced, and for the most part, we're also talking about people who have very little money. So when we're having conversations about where the resources go, how do we allocate them, we need to have those conversations once these children are here, because there are a lot of people who are struggling right now in order to take care of their children.
That's such a fair point. Al, what do you think?
You know, like Erica said, we can always go, you know, pro-life, pro-choice. Whichever one you choose, Erica, you got 50% of people that love you, 50% of people that hate you. But like you said, Erica, you work currently with CASA. I taught middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I've seen the results of what happens when somebody is not able to care for their child, when they come to school ungroomed, when they only have one pair of pants for the entire school year. There's nothing in place for that. We are all ready to argue on Twitter, all ready to speak our truth on YouTube, but no one was there when I was the 7th grade teacher and other teachers were pooling their money together to get certain kids toothpaste. So when somebody says that I'm going to give my child up, I don't assume that they're making that choice lightly. They might be saying, I am addicted to something. I don't have shelter now. I can't feed myself right now. I don't know what I am doing, much less caring for a new life. So if that person chooses to make a decision to either end that pregnancy or give that child up for adoption, I would just like there to be options, because the idea of let's just plow ahead. Erica sees what happens when people plow ahead all the time. I've seen what happens when we just have the kid and, hey, let's hope it works out. But a lot of times it doesn't, because even with the incredible upbringings that we've had with our parents, like, could you ask for better parents? It's still tough. I still almost blew it, you know? So just imagine if you had one or none or almost a negative because one of your parents was not in their right mind, and then saying, go make your way in this world. It's just a lot to ask. And I just feel like we want to have this conversation because this is the one that moves people to go vote. But no one wants to have the other conversation about who's going to pay for this, how are we going to pay for this, and how are we going to support these kids that may not have any parental figures in their life for the course of 0 to 18.
And I hear you both, and both of you make a lot of sense to me. And I know a lot of you out there feel that this is a very deeply personal and religious reason that you are making this choice and think that women don't have the right to make their own choice. I understand that that is something you hold very dear. I do want to know, research says that when you make abortion illegal, it doesn't stop abortion, it stops safe and legal abortions. Women will go to any extent, if they are in danger and need to find an abortion, and that means really bad things that I don't want to bring up.
Tori, it's a buzzword, but like, what have we learned about making things illegal in this country? When we had prohibition did people stop drinking, Erica, or did it create a black market? When we had, basically prohibition against marijuana, did it make it illegal, Erica? Did people stop smoking it? Did we get all the joints? No, we just threw a bunch of people in jail for no reason and destroyed families for no reason. When you make things illegal, you create a black market. And abortion, cocaine, marijuana, cigarettes, alcohol, whatever you want to do. Prescription drugs, people haven't had trouble getting a hold of those, have they? How'd that happen? So, I would like to think that we we're making these decisions not, you know, in good conscience, but I can't believe that the people above don't know what the market that they're creating once you do this, because we have so much data.
Do they know or do they care is the question. Exactly. All right. Let us know what you think. We know that's heavy. We know it's personal, and we're trying to have a really civil discussion and debate. So.
I don't want to have one.
Yes, you do.
I'm going to throw something.
Stop it. We know that people in Louisiana and the Northeast are having a tough time dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. Well, so is actress Busy Phillips. She posted this pic on Instagram in her sweatpants and rubber boots, holding a shovel, as she tackled the floodwaters that came pouring into her basement in her home in New York. At one point, she and her husband tried to shovel out the water, but then Busy came up with a clever do-it-yourself solution. Take a look.
I realized I had to make makeshift sandbags. So, you know, I have a ton of canvas bags from shops, reusable canvas bags. And I started filling it with flour and rice and oats and then the dirt that was pouring into the house. And guess what? It worked. Because I'm essentially MacGyver.
MacGyver. I mean, this is what people are getting down to. Flour, oats. This is the resources we're at. What do you think?
Well, good for her.
Yeah.
I mean,
She's busy as busy.
You gotta come up with something. Like people are at the point where they have to save themselves.
Yeah.
You know, so obviously she put her MacGyver hat on and did her thing.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just it's a traumatic situation for people.
It really
to
is.
lose everything.
And you always taught me this, that water is so, you think it's just, the flooding, but then it rots everything,
Right.
the damage, everything is.
I mean, my first year teaching in Miami, we got hit with a hurricane. And actually, when we showed that picture of the Dukes of Hazzard car, my ex-girlfriend, a tree had landed on her car, the first hurricane I'd ever been through. And honestly, I saw, as I taught in a trailer for the next 2 years, the damage that water does to the foundation of buildings, to cars, to infrastructure. So this is a bigger problem than just waiting for it to dry up.
We're thinking of you all. Before we go, we do need to go and get some help from you all. We want to hear what you think of our show. What do you like? What don't you like?
No, just go with the first one.
Tell us everything. We want you to go to dailyblastlive.com/survey or scan the QR code you see right here on your screen and take the survey. We actually, truly, if you believe anything about us, want to hear from you. You are our fifth host, and we love hearing from you. Coming up on DBL, a runner's 3-year nightmare, how a stalker took away her Tokyo dreams. But first, are women really attracted to men who mumble? The answer coming up next.
Closed captioning provided by
Tori, you didn't get a chance to talk a ton about the abortion thing, so let's keep it going. What do you?
Well, I don't know. Okay, this is what I think people don't know. And I don't want to come off and being like, this is what you should know. But the law that was passed allows citizens, regular citizens, to now sue anybody that tries to aid and abet a woman getting an abortion, which means the priest or rabbi that talks to them about it, the Uber driver or Lyft driver that drives them to the clinic, the doctor, the clinic, a financial advisor to help pay for them. All of these people now can be sued by any Texan for up to $10,000. So now there's a financial incentive for Texans to be bounty hunters on their own people. That isn't a sustainable way of creating a civilized society. And now 12 other states are trying to call it the heartbeat bill, and they're trying to pass it. South Dakota already announced it. We have Pennsylvania saying they won't do it. So this will spread and spread until one person, like Roe, that's what happened in Roe v. Wade. She went all the way up to the Supreme Court and sued, saying this is unconstitutional, all the way until they made a decision at the Supreme Court to say Roe v. Wade is legal. Now, do I think Roe v. Wade could be overturned this time? 1,000%. Yes, I do.
When
yes,
will that be up
I do. Usually they'll fast track something we're now in what they call a constitutional crisis. In some states you can't have an abortion, in some you can at this point. So now they're gonna really wanna have a precedent of what's happening. But you have 3 very conservative judges, one that was on trial at the Senate for an alleged sexual assault. And we're talking about women who are raped or have incest still can't get an abortion in Texas. They will not give you an exception for rape or incest. So I just want to be clear on what this means. It's a state law that I find unconstitutional and I think the Supreme Court will hear it. It's up to them, though, what they decide.
Welcome back to DBL. It looks like men who don't speak clearly have a better chance of scoring a date with the ladies. Sexy. According to scientists at the American Institute of Physics, men who mumble tend to be more attractive to the opposite sex. Apparently, women see it as a sign of masculinity. Men, on the other hand, find women who pronounce their words precisely to be more alluring because it signifies femininity to them. Do you think this comes down to men weren't allowed to communicate their emotions?
It sounds like it. Erica, you're making a face. Talk to me.
Well, I don't know about all that, but, I've never been the most attractive woman in the world, but I enunciate the So, no, I do not find mumblers sexy, period.
Right.
I mean, I am a woman who spent like years in front of huge speakers working in nightclubs. Then I went into radio where I constantly had my headphones way too loud. Now I have this thing in my ear. I can't hear anything. You better enunciate for your life if you want to speak to me.
Well, does this go into the, because I'm really asking here, into the, like the mysterious kind of James Bond man? Like, it's maybe not mumbling, but a man of few words?
Yeah, the masked man.
Is that attractive? Like
yes.
A man that doesn't speak a lot, like kind of gruff?
It's in the past. Like the old cowboy, that Western, that he says very few words.
Stoic,
has no emotions, and kind of says, let's ride. That's like, I think, where this is coming from. I also get a pet peeve with mumblers, though. With women, especially. If you're a woman who mumbles, I say, you're making yourself look weak. Come on, speak up. You deserve it.
But people have natural speech patterns that I think some people just kind of fall into. I think, if anything, I've been told I'm a mumbler on the phone because I'm probably doing 3 other things. But I wonder if it's just the mysterious element. I know I've spoken to women that say that they kind of like a man that's mysterious. I remember I was on FaceTime with one of my buddies. He was shooting a part for a movie, so his hair was crazy. And his girlfriend, who's Israeli, like, I was making fun of him over Zoom, and she just came and put her hands through his head. And she's like, some women like men that are a little, a little rougher. We don't always like our men. And I never thought about that. Like, a lot of women do like the bear look and the
It's the idea of like taming the beast.
I don't know. First of all, Al, you mumble on the phone because you're always somewhere where you're not supposed to be talking. So it's like, yeah, Erica, so...
I can't talk right.
What? Call me back when you're in the car.
I'm in a library in a silent room. I can't talk right now. That's definitely true. All right, coming up on DBL, a runner loses her dreams of competing in Tokyo because of a stalker. This is such an interesting story. She's telling it next. It's very harrowing. Stay tuned.
Could drones play a part in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic? Let's connect the dots. Atrium Health has been working with UPS for a long time to perfect this technology. Now they can use a drone to deliver vaccines 25 doses at a time from the main hospital to nearby practices and pharmacies. And this is not your normal delivery drone. It's climate controlled. Remember, the COVID vaccine has to be stored in incredibly cold temperatures, so the drone is packed with special gel to keep them cool. But is drone delivery actually that helpful for delivering vaccines? Researchers say yes, in certain situations. Drones could help transport vaccines to places that are hard to reach by delivery truck. In fact, the technology is already widely being used by Pfizer to ship vaccines in Ghana. And here in the U.S., drones could help lighten the load for delivery drivers. Saving a few trips with this technology could go a long way, as companies face staffing shortages and a growing mountain of online deliveries. Still, it could be a while before we see drones take over the vaccine rollout. Right now, Atrium is only operating one drone within a mile radius in Winston-Salem. The technology is looking promising for fighting disease in the future. And that is connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. It's the stuff of nightmares, but for one athlete, it became her reality. When Emily Infeld started getting messages from a man named Craig, she never imagined just how far his dangerous obsession would go. Take a look at this.
In 2018, I received a lot of Facebook messages, and I didn't see them right away because I'm not super active on Facebook. The length of the messages and that this person identified themselves as the USATF coach and that they wanted to help me and help me with an injury that I was dealing with. The messages were kind of weird and jumbled, and I was like, this seems inappropriate. And the way he was addressing me was as if we were in a relationship. And I was like, this is odd. That was terrifying to see that in writing. And then I called the police at that point. So we got security cameras installed. I go to court 3 different times. I was able to be granted a stalking protective order that was permanent. And I didn't hear from this person for almost a year and a half. And I started getting a barrage of Instagram messages, a bunch of comments on posts that I had, Twitter messages, things, Facebook things being sent to me. And it was all from this man. And it was just really overwhelming. They were really angry. And so I kept blocking accounts, but he kept creating new accounts. I was in touch with Nike, who's my main sponsor. They had looked into him and he had been married at a point, had this traumatic brain injury. Not only was he threatening me and stalking me, but doing this to a multitude of women, knowing he was renting a house less than 2 miles from me. Those two together were pretty terrifying.
That is terrifying. Craig Donnelly was eventually arrested 1 year after police issued his arrest warrant. He's currently in jail awaiting trial on cyber stalking charges. But after 3 years of his nonstop obsession, how is Emily doing? Earlier, Sam, Jeff, and Erica caught up with her, and here's what she had to say.
Emily, thank you for being here. So first and foremost, walk us through how it felt whenever you got a message from him. What were you feeling?
It was very anxiety-provoking, pretty scary. He was clearly mentally ill, and I think that aspect of it made me more terrified. It would be an influx of a lot of messages and then wouldn't hear from him for a week or 2 weeks or even a few months, but it definitely left me on edge. My body was kind of on high alert.
You talked about your body being on high alert. How did that affect your performance as an athlete?
Pretty hard to train consistently at that point. I wasn't sleeping really well. I was pretty much a nervous wreck. It was difficult. I think training at this high level is hard enough to do everything you can to stay healthy and to make as many just small gains as you can day in, day out. And having this going on as well, aside from that, was terrifying for my life and just made training extremely difficult.
What was the scariest encounter that you had with him? The whole thing sounds scary.
When he sent a death threat saying he was coming to Portland, Oregon, describing that he felt he was in the right, and then following that up with him being in Portland about a week later was pretty terrifying. Just knowing that he had followed through on traveling that far across the country, I just knew I had to get out of Portland at that point.
I can't even imagine what you must have gone through. I mean, we see this in films and in books, but you never really think that it could happen to you. When you heard that Craig Donnelly had been arrested, finally, what was your reaction in that moment?
I thought it was never going to end. It seemed like I was going to be told at a moment's notice I had to leave again for X amount of time. I felt really relieved to know that he was in custody and felt safer being in my home. And I'm still having some anxiety. Some days are easier than others, but I feel overall relief. I still feel bad for him, and I hope that he's able to get some help as well. But for me, just my day-to-day, I feel a lot more relief.
So Emily, you just said you feel empathetic for him. Why?
I just feel bad for him because I don't know his situation. It makes me really sad what he went through, the injury, and then now kind of the repercussions of that, because I'm sure he was a normal guy before that. I hope he gets help, and I hope that he's able to become his normal self again.
No, I get it. I get it.
You know, your empathy for someone who changed the course of your life in so many ways is remarkable, but our empathy resides with you. So now that he's in jail, what does your future look like?
Thank you. Thank you for being so sweet. I have a lot of goals athletically I want to achieve. I'm getting married in October, which is really exciting. I want to show that I'm more than this thing that has happened to me, and that you can go on from this and you can live your normal life, happy life. And I think for me, that's what I'm focused on right now.
A lot of people can learn from you, and we're so thankful, number one, that you're okay, but to your point, we cannot wait to see what's in store for you, competing. Congratulations on the wedding, very exciting, and we just really appreciate you being here and being so transparent.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you all for having me, and I hope this helps anyone else who's dealing with something similar.
You better believe it is. Thank you so much. We'll be right back. Thanks, Emily.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Are at-home COVID tests a reliable way to determine whether you've been infected? Let's verify. Our sources, family physician Dr. Carla Robinson, and information from 3 common at-home tests found in stores. Abbott Bionex Now, Illum COVID-19 home test, and Cadell QuickView. All 3 at-home tests have received emergency use authorization from the FDA, meaning they are not fully approved yet, and all are nasal swabs with test results in about 10 to 15 minutes. Clinical studies for Abbott Bionex Now shows the test is about 84% accurate at detecting positive cases and 98% accurate at detecting negative cases. Meanwhile, clinical studies for Illum COVID-19 home test showed 96% accuracy for those who had symptoms and 91% accuracy for people who did not have symptoms. Finally, Cadell QuickView totes an 83% accuracy for detecting positive cases and 99% accuracy detecting negative cases, according to a clinical study.
Type of patient to use this test would be someone who's symptomatic. Those who are asymptomatic and just may have been exposed, there may be a lot more variability there.
Dr. Carla Robinson says these tests are fairly accurate. However, the most reliable test is a PCR test administered by a medical professional where the swabs are sent to a lab for analysis.
PCR is the gold standard type of test that we have for COVID-19, which is the most reliable and the one that's used most often in the hospital or clinic setting.
Either way, Dr. Robinson says it's important once you get results from any of these tests to speak with a healthcare provider for the next steps. So we can verify that yes, at-home tests have a high degree of accuracy, but they're not perfect. And Dr. Robinson stresses that the result itself isn't the end game. People should always speak with a healthcare provider after getting their results back.
These at-home tests range from $20 to about $40. Dr. Robinson says the best way to get answers you can count on is to go to your doctor. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
Before we go, we're going to lighten things up now. A bird at a Sydney zoo can perfectly mimic the sound of a crying, wailing baby. Watch. The zoo.
That's terrifying.
That is terrifying. The zoo says Echo, the lyrebird, worked on his craft during lockdown. He can also mimic the sound of a fire alarm, which I'm sure is appealing, and a power drill.
Why don't you get it to sound like Whitney Houston or something? Something people want to hear.
I think it's interesting that he honed his craft during lockdown because maybe he was missing the crying babies.
Yes, yeah, great. And he'll be released, and now people will think there's a crying baby in the woods somewhere. And they're like, I swear I heard a baby, and they're like, sure you did.
Sure you did. It's just the bird. DBL's new every day. Thanks for sticking with us. We'll see you same time, same place on Monday. Take care, everybody. Bye. Have a good weekend.